This is the second video. This is the second video for section 4, chapter 1 in your McGraw-Hill geometry textbook. This is the second of 4 videos for this lesson. We start off with a vocabulary term, that is the term angle. An angle is defined as two non-collinear rays which share a common endpoint. So here you see an example of an angle. We have ray BA and ray BC. They have a common endpoint at B, and they're not collinear. B is known as the vertex. We would say the vertex is located at point B. And the sides of the angle are the rays BA and BC. Now, in addition, we would be able to, this angle is splitting the plane that is the board into two pieces. We have the points that are located in the interior of the angle, and we have the points located in the exterior of the angle. Since those rays extend forever, they would cut that plane into two pieces, the interior and the exterior. Okay, as for naming an angle, when we name an angle, we usually are going to have to use what is called the three-point method for naming the angle. And what we do is we basically name it as we trace it. So notice how if I trace this angle, I pass through A first, then I reach the vertex B, and then I pass through C. So I could say this is angle ABC. Okay? This is the symbol for angle. That's a new symbol to our notes, so please make a note of that. Notice we could also name this as angle CBA. Either one of those names is equally acceptable, but please notice that the vertex B must be in the middle of your 3 points. Okay? Now, sometimes, and this is mostly because mathematicians and math teachers are lazy, sometimes there are shortcuts to naming angles. For instance, there might be a number located directly in the interior of the angle. See how I put a 2 right there? That would indicate that this angle has a nickname, and we could call it angle 2. In addition, if it is the only angle in the picture that has that specific vertex, see how it's the only angle that has a vertex located at B, then we can use shorthand and just call it angle B. However, most of the time we're going to have to use the three-point method to name the angle. You may want to review this slide one more time before we move on, because on the next screen we're going to be asked a whole bunch of questions about some pretty complicated looking figures. Alright, so here's an example. It's a naming example. It's actually 2 examples. It says name an angle with a vertex located at R. So if we go and we locate point R, it's right there, right? Well, there's a whole bunch of angles that have a vertex at point R. So there's a whole bunch of correct answers for this. So just like in the previous section when I said it becomes relatively obvious when you guys are, shall we say, sharing answers, it's because of how many different answers there are to this problem. For instance, we could say angle 9. Notice how angle the 9 is in the interior of this angle here, which is also known as angle SRM. That's the same answer. You could also switch the order on those and say MRS. It would make no difference. In addition, we have a whole bunch of other answers that could work. Angle 2 would work. Angle 3. Those are the shortcut ones. Then we've got other angles we could name, like angle TRV. Oops, forgot the angle symbol. Angle TRV. Notice how R is in the middle. That indicates that R is the vertex. We could give one of the other names for angle 2 or angle 3. There are also additional names that we could give for TRV. We could say NRP, PRN, VRN. Those are all the same angle. So those are 4 answers. Now the reason I didn't name either one of these angles down here at the bottom is because there's no point on this ray to allow me to name either one of those angles. I need another labeled point down here. So there are a bunch of other ways we could name one angle with that vertex located at point R, but there are 5 acceptable answers to that question right there. Second part says name an angle with a vertex at P. Same basic question. Notice again there are 4 angles that have a vertex at P. So we could say angle 5, we could say angle 7, we could say angle QPV, we could say angle QPR. There are again lots of possible answers. Lots of possible answers. Okay. That brings us to our next example. Here's the same picture, I believe. It says name the vertex of each angle. So, name the vertex of angle 4. We go and we find angle 4. Well, angle 4 is this angle that I'm tracing with my pen right now. The vertex of that angle is point Q. Angle 7. There's angle 7 right there. We can trace it. Remember, the 7 will be right inside the interior or the mouth of the angle. So the vertex would be point P. Angle 2 is right here. Again, the vertex is where the mouth is opening. That is point R. Notice that the vertex is always a point. We could also ask you to name the sides of an angle. So for instance, angle SRM. So angle SRM is located right here. Remember that the sides are the rays that form that angle. So they would start at R, pass through S, which would be RS, and start at R and pass through M, RM. For angle QPT, it's right here, those 2 rays would start at P and pass through T and Q. So those would be PT and PQ. Notice that you have to have the ray symbol because when you name the sides of an angle, that is a pair of rays. Finally, angle 3 is right here. This one of the sides has 2 different names because it starts at R and passes through Q is one side. It starts at R and passes through either P or T. So we could say ray RQ is one side and ray RP, which alternatively we could call ray RT because it's the same ray. Okay. Finally, the last type of question we might see for this kind of picture would be give another name for each angle. So, in this case, angle 8. If we wanted to give another name for angle 8, we would want to use the 3-point method. So we could call it, say, angle VNP would work, because N is the vertex. VNP. You could also call it VNQ. You could call it QNV. There's, again, a bunch of different answers that would work. For angle TRQ, TRQ, there's actually a numeric shortcut answer, as well as you could simply reverse the order, so QRT. You could say angle QRP, angle PRQ. Again, there's lots of answers. Or if you notice, there's a shortcut you could call it angle 3. And again, those are just some of the answers. There are other answers you could give. So pause the video, try the last one on your own. There are a couple of answers that you could give there, but only a couple. Only 2 other answers you could give for that one. Okay, hopefully you pause the video and try it on your own. Those possibilities are reversing the name, so angle RNM, or you could use the numeric shortcut. That angle is angle 6. That does it for the second video in this series.